All right, get ready for a wild ride because this deep dive is all about us, human potential. And the really cool part is you've given us such a fascinating mix of stuff to work with, from this Mindful Manimal fitness program to like straight up kinesiology data and even some ancient healing practices. It's a lot to unpack.
It's like a puzzle, and we're putting all the pieces together today.
I like that. A puzzle. So this Mindful Manimal thing, it starts with this story, right? About how humans went from living in caves, totally connected to nature, to building these crazy societies.
And we've essentially built ourselves new caves. Our homes, our offices.
It's like we traded one cave for another.
In a way, yeah. And the thing is, we've made all this progress, but it hasn't come without a cost.
Right, like chronic diseases and stuff, which Mindful Manimal talks about.
Exactly. We're disconnected from our environment, from our bodies. That's a big part of the problem.
Okay, so how do we fix it? Because we're kind of stuck with this modern world, aren't we?
We are, but we can learn to thrive in it. And that's where all this kinesiology data you provided comes in. It's like the instruction manual for our bodies.
The instruction manual we never got.
Precisely. And the good news is, you don't have to be a scientist to understand it. It's about understanding the basic mechanics of how we move.
Okay, so like what? Give me an example.
All right, think about how a door moves on its hinges.
Back and forth.
Yeah, that's called angular motion. And guess what? Your elbows and knees, same type of motion. Every time you bend your arm or leg.
Huh. Never thought about it like that. So it's like we do all these complex things without even realizing.
All the time. We take it for granted. But when you break it down, it's pretty fascinating. And the more we understand these basic principles, the better we can move and prevent injuries.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm all for avoiding injuries.
Yeah.
So is that what plantar flexion is about? I
Huh.
saw that term in the materials. It sounds kind of scary.
It's just a fancy way of saying pointing your toes.
Seriously.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. You're using plantar flexion every time you walk, run, even reach for something on a high shelf.
Wow. Who knew? But wait, what's actually happening in my leg when I point my toes?
Your calf muscles are hard at work.
Yep.
You've got the gastrocnemius and the soleus. They're like a power couple. One contracts, the other relaxes. And bam, you've got movement.
So it's like this constant push and pull happening all over our body.
Exactly. And this dance is happening all the time. Whether you're lifting a glass to your mouth or doing a cartwheel, your muscles are constantly working in sync.
I'm never going to look at my body the same way again. It's like Mindful Manimal is saying, hey, pay attention.
Yes. It's about awareness, connecting your mind and body. When you understand how your body works, you can move with so much more freedom and intention.
Yeah.
And that's when you start to unlock your real potential. And it's not just about the mechanics, right? There's this whole other level to movement, this idea of a life force that powers it all.
Yeah, like that's what Mindful Manimal kept talking about, the energy behind the movement.
It's like the fuel that makes it all go. And it's fascinating how many cultures have their own word for it.
Oh, right. Like prana in yoga or ki in traditional Chinese medicine.
Exactly. It's this universal concept of a vital energy that flows through all living things.
It even mentions something called odic force, which sounds kind of like, I don't know, superhero-ish.
Right. But the point is, it's all getting at this idea that there's more to us than just flesh and bone.
Okay, but like, is there any actual science behind this life force stuff? Or is it more of a spiritual thing?
Well, for a long time, Western science was pretty skeptical. But here's the thing, new research is starting to change that.
Really? Okay, I'm listening. Tell me more.
Have you ever heard of the body's electromagnetic field?
Yeah, vaguely. Isn't that connected to the brain somehow?
It is, but get this, the heart's electromagnetic field, it's actually way stronger than the brain's.
Wait, seriously? I always thought the brain was like the electrical powerhouse.
The heart's the real MVP when it comes to electricity. And that field it generates, it doesn't just stay inside us. It radiates outward.
So like other people can pick up on our energy. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's a bit more complex than that. But the idea is that this energy field isn't separate from us. It's part of us. And it interacts with the world around us.
Okay, that's kind of blowing my mind.
Mm-hmm.
But if our heart is generating all this energy, can we control it?
That's where things get really interesting. Because that's where practices like breath work and meditation come in.
Those always seemed kind of, I don't know, new agey to me.
I hear you. But the science is really starting to back up what these traditions have known for centuries. These practices can actually influence our heart rate variability.
Heart rate variability, what's that?
It's basically a measure of how adaptable your heart is, like how well it can switch gears between beating fast and slow. And it turns out high heart rate variability is a good thing.
So more adaptable heart healthier person.
You got it. And breath work, meditation, they can help us achieve that.
Okay, so it's like we have more control over our internal state than we realize.
Exactly. And this whole idea of the mind-body connection, it's not just some abstract concept.
Right, because this whole thing about neuroplasticity, it's like our brains can actually change, right?
Right.
We're not stuck with what we're born with.
Exactly. And one of the most fascinating applications of neuroplasticity is something called motor imagery.
Motor imagery, what is that?
It's basically visualization for athletes, or anyone, really. The idea is that by vividly imagining yourself performing an action, you're actually creating new neural pathways in your brain.
So just by thinking about it, I'm getting better at something.
In a way, yes, because your brain doesn't know the difference between the real thing and a really vivid visualization.
That's wild. No wonder those Olympic athletes are always visualizing their routines.
Exactly. And it's not just for elite athletes. Anyone can benefit from motor imagery.
Okay, so what, like, I should be imagining myself doing a perfect yoga pose while I'm stuck in traffic.
Hey, it couldn't hurt. But seriously, the more you use your imagination in this way, the more you're tapping into the power of your mind to shape your reality. And Mindful Manimal takes it a step further with this whole section on mudras.
Mudras, those are like hand gestures, right? I've seen yogis doing them.
Yeah, exactly. They're like these energy locks you make with your hands, and each one is supposed to have a different effect on your body and mind.
Okay, that sounds a little out there. Like, how can just positioning your fingers differently actually do anything?
I know, it sounds a little strange at first, but think about it. Acupuncture uses needles on specific points to influence energy flow. Mudras, it's like a similar principle.
So it's all connected.
Exactly. And even if the exact mechanism isn't fully understood by Western science, people have been using mudras for centuries, and they swear by them.
All right, you've convinced me I'm willing to try it.
Yeah.
What are some examples of these mudras?
Well, there's one called the Dhyana Mudra, which is supposed to be great for meditation. You just rest your hands in your lap, palms up, and touch your thumbs together.
See? That doesn't sound too crazy. I can picture myself doing that.
Right. And then there's the Prana Mudra, which is supposed to boost your energy. You do that one by touching your thumb to your ring finger and pinky and keeping your other finger straight.
Interesting. So it's like we have this whole language of hand gestures that can influence our well-being.
It's pretty amazing, right? And Mindful Manimal is full of these little life hacks, like practical things you can do to improve your health and well-being.
Life hacks.
Yeah.
Okay, now you're speaking my language. Give me some examples.
All right. So, you know how when you get a headache, you usually just reach for the ibuprofen?
Yeah, pretty much. What else am I going to do?
Well, Mindful Manimal suggests trying this. Take an ice cube and rub it on the web of skin between your thumb and index finger.
Wait, what? Really?
Yeah. It sounds weird, but apparently the coldness stimulates nerves that can actually relieve headache pain.
Okay, I have to try that next time I have a headache. See, this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. What else you got?
How about a natural way to stop a nosebleed?
Okay, that's a good one. I'm prone to those.
Next time it happens, instead of tilting your head back, try this. Take a piece of cotton and press it firmly on your upper gums, just below your nose.
Huh, I've never heard of that. Why does that work?
It puts pressure on a blood vessel that runs through there and helps stop the bleeding.
I learn something new every day.
Right. And here's another one. This one's for acid reflux. Try sleeping on your left side.
Really? I've heard of elevating your head, but not that.
Yeah, apparently sleeping on your left side can help keep stomach acid down.
Fascinating. Okay, so many good tips.
Right. And the cool thing is, these are just a few examples. There's a whole world of these little life hacks out there. It's about being open to new possibilities and realizing that sometimes the simplest solutions are the most effective.
I'm definitely feeling inspired to try some of these.
That's what I like to hear. It's about taking control of your own well-being, right?
Absolutely. So, with all this in mind, what's the main takeaway you hope people get from all of this?
I think the biggest takeaway is that we're capable of so much more than we realize. Our bodies, our minds, they're incredible machines. And we're only just beginning to scratch the surface of what they can do.
It's almost like we've forgotten how powerful we truly are. It really is remarkable when you think about it. All this untapped potential just waiting to be unleashed.
It's like we have these inner reserves of strength and resilience we don't even know about.
And the more we learn about these hidden abilities, the more we realize just how much control we have over our own health and well-being.
Exactly. We're not just passive bystanders in our own lives. We have the power to make choices that support our well-being on every level, physically, mentally, even energetically.
And that's a really empowering message, isn't it? Knowing that we're not limited by some predetermined set point,
Hmm.
that we can actually influence how we feel, how we move, how we experience the world.
Absolutely. And it's not about becoming superhuman or anything. It's about tapping into the incredible potential that already exists within each and every one of us.
So how do we do that? How do we actually start tapping into that potential? What are the practical steps we can take?
Well, I think it starts with awareness. Paying attention to what our bodies are telling us, tuning into those subtle sensations and signals that we often ignore.
So like that mindfulness thing we were talking about earlier.
Exactly. It's about bringing more presence to our everyday lives, noticing how we feel when we move our bodies, when we eat certain foods, when we interact with others. The more aware we become, the more we start to understand what nourishes us and what depletes us. And that's incredibly powerful information to have.
It's like we become our own science experiments.
In a way, yes. We start to see the connections between our thoughts, our emotions, our actions, and how they all impact our overall well-being. And from that place of awareness, we can start making choices that support our growth and evolution.
It's like Mindful Manimal was saying, we are capable of so much more than we think we are.
Such a powerful statement. And it's not just about physical potential, right? It's about expanding our mental, emotional, and spiritual horizons as well.
It's about becoming the best versions of ourselves.
Exactly. And that journey, that's what makes life so incredibly exciting. There's always more to learn, more to explore, more to discover about ourselves and the world around us.
This entire deep dive has been one big aha moment for me. It's like I knew some of this stuff intellectually, but now I really feel it. I feel inspired to make some changes in my own life.
And that's what it's all about, taking this knowledge and putting it into practice. Because it's one thing to talk about human potential, but it's a whole other thing to actually embody it.
So true. Well, I think we've given our listeners a lot to chew on today.
They have, and hopefully some practical tools and inspiration to start unlocking their own hidden superpowers.
Absolutely. Because we all have them, right?
Yeah.
It's just a matter of tapping into them.
Precisely. And the journey starts now.
Well said. A huge thank you to you for joining us on this incredible exploration of human potential. And to everyone listening, remember, keep asking questions, keep pushing your boundaries, and never stop believing in the power of human potential. Until next time.